right. I think we're live.
Yes.
Welcome to Popcast on the Rocks for March 14th, 2020. How are you doing today, Andrea?
I am excellent today, persevering in despite of all the terrible news around the world.
Yeah, staying
So
staying indoors,
that's right.
self-quarantine.
As yes, as a I would say like a social introvert, I feel like I've been preparing for this all my life. Like I'm very comfortable in
Okay.
my house for a quarantine. Like I'm super cool with that. And like my only communication needs to be like, this kind of like video communication or
hmm
text or whatever. Like I'll be fine.
Someone
So
was saying something like that to that effect where this is perfect for introverts, you know.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I'm
yeah, I guess.
excited about it. I feel like I'm gonna get like caught up on reading, maybe playing some video games, like binge watching some shows that I haven't had
Nice.
time for. Like this is great. I love it.
Okay.
So how about you? How are you doing?
Well, I don't love it. Cause like our trips keep getting messed up. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
just can't like do anything. Like everything is, I mean, we can't take a whiskey tour
Oh, you
because
can't now.
no, because they're all canceling.
I
It's
mean, I
like,
suppose.
so
Okay, yeah.
you're gonna keep the distillery open and you can
Sure.
go and have a drink in there with however many people show up, but you can't like get a quick behind the scenes thing or whatever. Like that's gonna be different.
Right.
You know,
That's really weird.
and I mean a restaurant's gonna close. I think if you're gonna get something,
Yeah.
all these people touching your food, that's gonna
Mhm.
be so it's just I can't do anything. That's what it seems like. We can't do anything. We've got to just
Sure.
go someplace warm where we can just be outside, you know.
Sure.
But the
6
the
feet apart. I think that's minimum distance is what you're supposed to be.
but yeah, they the other thing is like even if we go someplace outdoors, a lot of those places are managed and controlled and whatever. They're national parks and
Mhm.
state parks. Are they going to shut their visitor centers? So now like the
Yeah,
gates are
could.
down, you can't even get in to just walk around and not talk to anyone or do anything. So
Yeah.
it's mass hysteria. It's driving me nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little chaotic. I mean, it's tough because like, there's no precedent for this. Like we don't have like a guideline to follow. So there's just sort of this weird like patchy like let's shut some things down, others are open, like but are people going to go? Like should you go?
Well,
Who
there's
knows?
precedent for contagions and dying from flus and diseases and stuff.
Right,
You
right. But
know,
in like this like modern society, like we haven't had like a pandemic like this in the United States at least. There's been certainly in other parts of the world
we've at
that
least
we
not
could
had the
follow their
reaction. Yeah.
yes. Yeah, so we could follow like, examples from other countries, but we haven't really had to like enact these sort of protocols before. So I think it's frustrating but understandably chaotic as like both public and private businesses and organizations try to figure out like what they're supposed to do.
I
But
understand the
it does suck for that, definitely.
I understand businesses not wanting to like be held, culpable for something, but I mean, let's bring that to anything then. Are you, going to be held, oh, we were there and my elderly whoever contracted, got pneumonia or something like that and you
Mhm.
were open and we were like it's not your fault. It's not a business's fault, I don't
Right.
know. It's like or car accidents, I was driving to whatever business and I got in a car accident and my whoever in the car with me died. So it's your fault you were open because it's
Mhm.
dangerous out there on the road.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm
Right.
ranting. I'm going crazy. It's just like seeing
It's
shelves
okay.
empty with toilet paper and stuff. It's just
Yeah,
it's getting maddening. Um,
totally. Yeah, no, I thought it was sort of like funny. Like I joked about it. Like the whole like toilet paper binge
mhm.
buying craze. And then last weekend, I actually just legitimately had to go to Target because we were out of toilet paper. Like
Yeah.
nothing related to coronavirus. I was not
Yeah.
stocking up, like
Mhm.
nothing. And I was like, oh, this is going to be no problem because I was passing through the food aisles and like there was so much stock and like fresh
Mhm.
produce. And I was like, oh my
Right.
God, like, they're fine. It's
Yeah.
fine. Like everything's going to be fine. And then I turned down the toilet paper aisle and it was like bare. It was like ghost town, like tumbleweeds across the aisle. And I got the last friggin' package of toilet paper.
Wow.
And as I put it in my cart, I was like furtively looking around me like, "Is someone gonna like jump
You're
out
gonna get
and fight me
mugged,
for
yeah.
this?" Like, I mean, like I was putting it in my cart and just like trying to sneak out of Target as quick as I could because I was like, somebody's gonna realize I have the last roll of toilet paper and gonna come fight me for it.
See,
Like,
it's part
it's
of the
nuts.
negatives of the internet, I guess, because would this be the reaction of people if it didn't spread via the internet? Like,
Sure.
how would people think, "Oh my god, I need to stock up on toilet paper." Like, I yeah, canned
It's
food,
very
you
specific.
know, something, some extra
Right.
medicine. Those things
Right.
make more sense.
Right.
Cleaners, whatever, but toilet paper
I know. I
is,
know.
um
Yeah, one of my friends was saying she even saw people like mass now that you can't get toilet paper, like mass buying paper towels and napkins as like
yeah, that's what
substitutes. And I was
figures
like,
next.
okay,
Next.
too
Yeah.
far.
I actually saw a thing
Just
that I've
crazy.
been saying, use a bidet, and that's the thing,
Yeah,
bidet sales are way up.
I'm sure they are. Yeah.
So, not all segments of the economy are gonna be hurt, I guess, because there's gonna
Right.
be crazy people buying all this other stuff, but
Right. I feel like Amazon's going to be fine because people are just going to start ordering things for delivery instead of like risking
yep.
going out to stores. So they're just like,
But guess
yeah,
what?
baby.
People are delivering those things and have to
I
go
know.
outdoors.
I
Like,
know. I know.
it's
Yeah, it's weird.
it's
It makes people feel like marginally safer, but it's like, how safe is it really?
I remember I overreacted initially to, I think it was swine flu.
Sure.
I got a little
Yeah.
crazy because we had, a lot of deaths with that and everything.
Mhm.
But as soon as you start looking at other numbers with other things that people die from,
Mhm.
you're like, okay, let's pump the brakes a minute here and
Right.
just put things in perspective.
Mhm.
It's so I'm trying not to overreact to
Yeah.
this mistakes. So,
Hear
well, this
that.
is not pop culture, I guess, but it is affecting pop culture.
It is
So we'll
indeed.
get that. But how was the rest of your week? Did you manage to do anything before everything shut down and the
Yes,
zombie apocalypse
yes.
hit?
Yeah, actually, I did something that I'm wondering, if the popularity of this is going to be supremely affected now. But my family and I, for my grandmother's birthday, did an escape room.
Nice.
And that I was very worried about that going in. I was like, "How is my family gonna work together
Right?
and
Yeah.
be stuck in a small room with each other?" Like,
Hmm.
I don't know how this is gonna go. But actually it ended up going really well. Um,
Okay.
like myself, Chris, and then my younger cousin, kind of like took the lead because we'd all done escape rooms before. So we sort of like took the lead and like showed everybody like, kind of things that we could do and how
I
to like kind of
almost up to
approach
some crazy.
everything. Oh, okay. I can
Um,
still hear you.
it's
Can you
going
still
nuts.
hear me?
Well, you can keep telling your story because it
Okay.
seems like my mic is working,
Okay.
maybe,
Yes, it
but
it does.
I can't hear
I can
you.
hear you.
Okay.
But yeah,
So
so
you keep
we
telling
we
your
went
story,
to
and I
yeah.
will try to get things working again.
Sounds good. All right, so we went to an escape room. It was like modeled, I think, after like sort of an Indiana Jones style thing. In fact, there was actually like a part of the challenges that we had to do where we had to replace a golden chalice with a bag of sand, and that like popped open a hidden door. So that was pretty classic and iconic and very fun. Um, so we managed to escape the room. I don't know if we can see this photo, but here we go. Here's our victorious photo with all of us holding up our different artifacts, um, and like getting a whole like Indiana Jones hat there, golden chalice. I'm weirdly, I don't know why I decided this was like part of the challenge was to put on some sunglasses and you could like see this hidden thing. So I don't know why I've decided to put them on for the picture because now I look like, I don't know, like white girl Ray Charles. Like that was an odd choice, but yeah, so we finished, and I think we finished with 7 minutes to spare. Um, so I think we were pretty good at it. We only had to get help one time um, for like a key that we had missed that would like unlock one of the hidden doors in the room. So I feel pretty good about like our ability to both like work together and our thinking power. So if we were ever trapped in a room together that we needed to escape, I feel like we could really do it. So yeah, that was the first part of my week. Trying to think about anything else that I've been doing this week. Oh, I just like showed a picture on my phone, which is brand new. I got a new iPhone 11 Pro, which is a serious upgrade from my iPhone 8. That thing was dying like crazy, um, especially in the cold weather. Like I would be outside and try to take a walk, and it would just go from like 100% battery to like 2% battery in the space of like 15 minutes. So that was crazy frustrating. But now I have graciously donated my iPhone 8 to my husband. So he will be using it to play Pokemon and do some like extra trades and battles and whatever random stuff he wants to do with that. So yeah, so that's I think most of my week, but I can keep trying if John doesn't quite come back here. um, let's see, what else did I do this week? Because of our fun little like quarantine that's been happening, um, I am now working from home, which is kind of pretty nice actually. I got a sweet little like home office setup, which I've been enjoying. And then, like I said, kind of just been able to stay in and binge watch a bunch of different shows, which is good because now we have a bunch of new stuff to talk about this week, which is fantastic. John,
Oh,
are you back?
yeah. I got
Yay!
big cans on now. Gaming
That's
headset.
that's a very interesting way to put that. Your big
Yeah.
cans. I may have to make fun of that later.
Yeah. Another episode
So,
title. My big cans are on. Yep.
um, no, I was just talking about my week, finishing up my escape room story. I showed a photo of us
Nice.
and our victory because
Cool.
we did manage to escape the room. So
Oh, good.
um, we took a photo of that, and then I was showing it on my new iPhone 11 Pro.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
I
So
have to
now you
test out all
gotta,
my fun new features
yeah.
and my
Yeah.
beautiful new camera.
What color did you get?
Slate gray, so
Okay.
nothing like crazy, and then just like I have a normal black case. So
Yep.
yeah.
To get that app, I'm blanking on what it's called at the moment, but it's for lets you record with like
Hmm.
3 cameras at once. So
Yeah.
pretty cool for these shoots or something. We'll get something working.
Yeah, and I think I got 256 for my storage.
Okay.
So I got like the definitely the higher one for that because I was just like, just in case. Like
Yeah.
after 2 years of my iPhone 8 with its like 64 gig storage, I
Mm,
basically filled it all up. So I was like, wow,
mhm.
let's just get that
I
upgrade
need
then.
very little these days because I do everything in the cloud pretty much.
Sure.
But if you start shooting a lot of video or something like that, then
Yep. That's what I
it
was
adds
kind of
up.
thinking. Plus, I do like to keep a lot of my like trip photos, even though I back them up to the cloud. Like I like to keep
Hmm.
them on my phone sometimes,
Yeah.
just to like show people or like take a trip down memory lane.
Yep. Well,
So
do you let Apple Photos back them up? Is that where you back them up?
mhm.
So I mean, you can do the checkbox for it will offload them after a while,
Right,
so you
right,
can still access them, but it will like use a little data to load up the full image from the thumbnail. But
right.
yeah, yeah, 256 will hold. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I kind of think so. But
Well,
it was like $6 difference in price per month.
Oh,
So I
per
was
month,
like,
yeah.
between
Yep.
like, yeah, 64 to 256. And I was like, wow, that just seems worth it. So
Yep. Cool. Well, that's awesome.
yeah, yeah. How about
I
your week now that you're back with us? I'm sure
uh
people are sick of hearing
well,
from me.
I suppose I should spend some more time in the week like testing this stuff and getting it figured out. What's wrong? Maybe it's I've got an old USB extension cable. Maybe it's having losing connectivity or something like that, and then
Oh,
it's like
sure.
not. So I don't know. Thing to try, but the rest of the week was pretty good.
Hmm.
Um, I went to the Invisible Man.
Yeah. Yeah. How was
So
that?
I mean, yesterday was Friday the 13th, so I guess it's a little spooky-ish, right?
Right.
Um, but
Seems
yeah,
very appropriate.
it was really good. It was definitely it wasn't horror, it was thriller.
Hmm.
Um, but it was well done. It's I won't spoil anything, spoiler free, but it's tense. It's really
Okay.
tense. And it's not how I thought it would go. Like I guess I just my mind isn't that vicious. So when the
Mhm.
invisible man in there is doing what he's doing, you're like, "Oh man, harsh." So,
Okay. Okay. Have
but
you read like The Invisible Man?
no, I a long time
Okay.
ago saw the Kevin Bacon one.
Sure.
Um and that's it. So,
Okay. I remember I read it after I watched, oh God, such a terrible movie, but I half love it. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen some of that. Okay, yeah.
Yep. So then I wanted to go and like read all of like the individual stories, like, reading
Mhm.
Dracula, reading The Invisible Man, um, or 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just, it was far different than obviously the movie, because the movie is like a
Mhm.
terrible like adaptation of all of those characters, but it was really fun. It's a good book.
Nice. Cool, cool. Um oh, okay. Yeah, my stream had cut out for a second, but
Mhm.
okay. Well, I lost my point. Oh yeah. We you
Invisible
saw
Man.
that there was no um drinking holidays this week. What's
I
going
know,
on?
I know. I feel like they're just like clearing it out because,
For St.
St.
Patrick's
Patrick,
Day?
yeah, St. Patrick's Day. I mean, you just like it's so iconic for drinking. So yeah, they're
Okay.
just like, no, we're just not going to have anything that interferes with that. So, in honor of St. Patrick's Day, I'm not having anything on the rocks this week, but I am having an Irish coffee.
Okay.
So in a
Nice.
green mug too. So I mean,
Oh,
I'm
wow.
getting in the spirit. How about you?
The Irish coffee sounds good right now, but I've got in honor of I guess
Okay.
spring-ish feeling stuff. It's
Ooh,
a
what is
light
that?
it's a local beer and
Okay.
it's a peach kind of
Ooh,
infused beer. So it's called fuzzy something or another. It's
okay.
just light and drinkable. Got picked up a growler of it the other day. I was
Sure.
gonna get a case of Corona, um, just to
We
support
have
it.
some of that in our house.
Yeah, I had one when I went to Invisible Man, and
Nice.
then I was gonna get more to support them, but it's like, well, maybe I'll just support a local business instead. That
Sure.
sounds better,
Sure.
I guess. So,
Yeah. Yeah, we picked up a case of Corona actually before all of this went down.
mm.
So I feel like we are unconsciously prepping or helping them, but
Yeah. Well, news for the week.
yes.
Media news. I got some more gaming stuff coming up.
Hmm.
I mean, by now, I'm sure some listeners can figure out some of the things we like for what we bring up here, but got more Witcher news. Um,
Yes. Couple different
there,
Witcher items.
yeah. So CD Projekt Red, who makes the Witcher games,
Hmm.
has been working on Cyberpunk 2077.
Hmm.
And people were worried because in the past they'd talked like they didn't really have more plans for Witcher games. Well, this week they confirmed they're going to be doing more Witcher. I think
Hmm.
probably the popularity of the Netflix series had something to do with that. But they
Definitely.
said immediately when they're done with Cyberpunk 2077, they're going to be working on new Witcher game. Don't know anything more about it really. Other than there's like a smaller team right now that's
Right.
kind of working on that, and two big teams finishing Cyberpunk. So,
Yeah, I read the article that you had linked to, and I thought it was interesting that it's not the game as of yet now isn't going to be like Witcher 4. Like
mm,
it's not going to be sequential. They were talking about like it's just going to be something else, which I think is interesting considering like the altered carbon news we have later as well. It
mhm.
seems like that's trendy right now to do like side stories, I guess, or like companion something, parallel that's not quite like in the universe that you know it, but is like similar.
Well, I am a big fan of that because when I write some like D&D stories
Hmm.
or backstories or something like that, what I loved to do was you start building a little bit of a world, and then you mention a a place or an item or a character, that because you have to fill things out. So you just like, it's not just um so one note or whatever, but
Right.
you don't explain those other things. And so it just makes your mind go like, oh, there's these more to this world, all these other
Hmm.
things that we could explore. And so when they have a story like the Witcher series that wraps up nicely and it's a well done story,
Hmm.
I'm ready to see other parts of it because it's a
Sure.
big, vast world.
Hmm.
Covers a lot of time, and yeah, they did the Witcher Tale, Thronebreaker or Witcher Tale.
Hmm.
That's a game that's out as well, and that is dealing with other characters, and they have some comic books that deal with other characters, and so
Sure.
I'm for more of that.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about that. I guess I'm selectively excited. I'm excited about the Witcher game, but I'm not as excited about Altered Carbon. But we could talk about that
Sure, yeah,
after other Witcher news.
yep, yep. Yeah, and the other Witcher bit is Gwent is so
Hmm.
in the game Witcher. There's a card game you play in the game called Gwent. They released a full version of that game that's standalone, but it's different. You play it differently, but it's still a card game. And I never thought I would play it, a digital card game, but I love this one. And this week is the Gwent Masters, so you can watch that go down on Twitch.
Nice.
So
Nice.
yeah,
One of the few things that is still happening,
yeah. There we go. All the
right?
digital online tournaments. Yeah, I don't think Gwent is big enough. They have in person
Right.
things. I don't know.
Which I mean might be helpful right about now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so speaking of things that you can do online, not around people, Call of Duty Warzone was released this week, and it is currently available for download. They, I think, let certain people download it first,
Mm,
and then like
some
like
streamers or
certain
something.
yeah, some certain level of like PS4 members and things like that, and then it was released to the public later on Wednesday. But I've heard it's gotten like really positive reviews so far because they changed an element of the game um, where the player, so like in this sort of like melee format, the player who downs another player gets credit for a kill rather than somebody who actually like fires the shot that kills them or like executes the maneuver that kills them. Because
I'm not
people
sure
were
I know
like,
what I mean. What do you mean?
so like you've played, have you played Halo or
Hmm. Hmm.
like Call of Duty?
Very little of Call of Duty, but
Okay, so like in Halo, like when you're, hunting down another member, um, and like you are about to like take them down. And then you take like you maybe fire a shot that like takes them down and like gets them on the floor, but like doesn't quite kill them yet. And then you have like one more shot to kill them. Other players were like other players can like swoop in and deliver
mm,
the final killing blow, and then they would get like credit for that. And people
mm,
were so like that sort of thing was happening in Call of Duty, this like melee mode where like one player would down another player and then like run up, but before they could get like the actual kill shot in, somebody else would like see this, swoop in, and take the final shot, and then they would get credit for the kill.
So this is specifically so like in a battle royale game
Mhm.
mode.
Yep.
Um, so I know like in Fortnite, you knock someone. So you
Mhm.
shoot them to plenish their health. They're
Yep.
knocked now.
Yep.
Whoever does that that knocks a person, whenever that person is finished off, gets the kill. So you're saying
Yep.
that wasn't the case before and now it
In
is.
Call of Duty. Yep.
Well, that
Mhm.
seems really like weird to have it the other way to start.
I know, I know. I don't know if they just, like, didn't think about it or, like, just didn't think that people would do that, but, like, that was a major, major complaint for Call of Duty for a really long time. So
Okay.
so they finally fixed it, so obviously, like, everybody is quite happy now with this
Mhm.
new game.
See,
So, only
our
heard positive
produce
things about it.
a producer says kill stealing has been around forever.
Mhm.
When I think of that, I think of, so say the person's health is 100 and you put in 90 of the damage and then someone comes by and pops
Yeah.
someone and they taking the rest away. That's a thing. I mean, so that's normal because then you get an assist. You did most of the damage, but you get an assist because the other person finished him off.
Mhm.
So that's just the way that's going to be if you're going to play as a team or with other people. But the once someone is down and effectively
Mhm.
eliminated unless they get rezzed, yeah,
Mhm.
that would be weird. And I didn't know that that was a thing in
Yeah.
Call of Duty because that would be ridiculous. Well, that's why I don't play, I guess.
Well, or maybe now why you should start playing with Warzone.
Yeah, maybe. Call of Duty has such a like it's known for such a I mean it's got a fast turnaround.
Mhm.
Your time to kill is short. And so that's fine, but you can drop in a match and die, come back and die right away, and you get to keep coming back or whatever.
Right.
But I don't know. It's just never hooked me. I'm kind
Sure.
of like Ashley, where, like I never wanted to play a digital card game, but Gwent is cool enough. The Witcher world is cool enough that it
Sure.
pulled me in. And, so, yeah, it's free though. So,
Yep. Yep. So I can give it a try.
yep. Um, I guess in other gaming news, I was gonna just talk initially about E3 being canceled,
Oh yeah.
but we just changed it to everything being canceled.
Well, it
So
is.
we'd already brought up how everything is canceled, but you have a few more things that maybe people can do during the time or something.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like streaming services are just like probably exploding. I know many people who have said that they're signing up for more streaming services, like just sort of to be ready for quarantine. Um, I think Disney Plus especially is going to see a huge influx of new members,
Sure.
especially since like kids are like being taken out of schools or like they're shutting down. Like parents are going to want ways for kids to um, be entertained. So I think Disney Plus is going to see some pretty big numbers pretty soon. Um, but then on the flip side, like I just read about Netflix halting all US productions on all of their shows. So, like Stranger Things season 4 is probably one of the biggest things that people might care about being affected.
Mm-hmm.
That production is completely shut down, and they haven't halted overseas productions yet. So, The Witcher 2 is currently still filming, but
Okay.
that could be halted shortly.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then other studios are following suit. Like Disney has shut down all of its live action films that it was planning. Like The Little Mermaid, apparently they were going to reboot Home Alone to um, Nightmare Alley, Peter Pan and Wendy. Yeah, a bunch of
Okay.
different titles. So, yeah, kind of a mishmash. Oh yeah, yeah, I saw that. Alan just said Frozen 2 was released on Disney Plus 3 months earlier than expected. Yeah, I just saw that announcement come through. So that's going to be a big incentive for people, I think, to get Disney
Yep.
Plus. It's
Yep.
like I mean, I get it. It's taking advantage of what's happening in the world. So
Yep. Well, we're about a half hour in. We're trying to keep more to an hour, and we
yeah,
got some pretty awesome spoilery discussions coming up here.
Yay!
So we gotta get to some of that. Um, see, but you had also seen the trailer for Altered
Mhm.
Carbon Resleeved. So
Yes.
next week we're probably gonna get to our recap of Altered Carbon season one
Mhm.
and two. But in the meantime, they released a
Yes.
trailer for like you say, a spin-off or an animated version
Mhm.
for Netflix.
Yep.
Thoughts?
So yeah, unlike Witcher side story, I do not like this exactly. Um, I think I don't know, it's tough now, obviously, like I can understand maybe like, you can't maybe shoot a next season of Altered Carbon so quickly.
Hmm.
Um, and now with like production being halted on so many things, like it's going to make it even more difficult. But I feel like this was shot prior to all of that happening.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, I'm not super thrilled about the trailer. I'm excited about elements of it.
Okay.
Um, I'm excited about this like Yakuza focus
Okay.
that they're having, and sort of like exploring some of like, I guess, half of Takeshi's, you know, nationality because he's um, half Japanese. So I'm interested in exploring maybe that sort of backstory, and I'm interested. Like I feel like the tying the stacks to these like tattoos of the yakuza and having them be like these interesting enhanced sleeves is a really cool idea, and
Hmm.
it shows up really well, I think, in animation. So that's like the part I do like. The part I
Sure.
don't like is I feel like this animated version is somehow taking a step back from like the live action version. Like I
Okay.
love the world that they've built with the live action, and it's just so real and gritty and like full, and somehow like the animated version seems less, like it makes it seem less, it's less rich.
Okay.
I don't know how to describe it, like the effect that it gives me, but yeah, I'm not. I think if like the animated version had come first, I would be more interested in it. But now that I'm like so like into this dark, moody, gritty, real world of the live action version, I can't get out of this like that mindset and get to this like fun, like colorful, poppy, digitized world.
Well, hopefully it's not colorful, fun, and pop. I mean, clearly there's a little more color to the palette, I suppose. But I
Right.
mean, season one of Altered Carbon was pretty colorful with like the neon, and they're going for that
Yeah.
cyberpunk aesthetic. But where it's just yeah, neon kanji everywhere.
Right.
But
And that worked for me, but I didn't I guess I haven't seen like the contrasting darkness in the trailer.
sure,
You know what I mean? Like everything was
yeah.
in the daylight, so I was just like,
I mean, I'll give it a chance,
yeah,
because
I will.
I've liked other animated spin-offs. So, notoriously, the first one that I know of that started it was The Matrix, doing the Animatrix,
Mhm.
and they
Sure.
had, I
Yep.
think it was 9 shorts or something like that, and they brought in acclaimed animated creators, from, to tackle each one individually, and I really appreciated that.
Mhm.
And then they did a quick animated Blade Runner. It
Mhm.
was pretty short and just one.
Sure.
So I'm for the idea of it,
Mhm.
but I'm generally not a 3D animated from a Japanese studio fan. Like to
Mhm.
me, it usually detracts from an anime whenever they use a lot of CGI
Yes.
stuff. I prefer, yeah, and look, they draw all of it on a computer, so I get that, but it emulates the hand drawn. It's still like largely hand drawn, just on a
Mhm.
computer. And but when it's trying to look 3D, I just don't like the style.
Yep, I agree. Very much. Like that was a big distraction for me in the trailer.
Hmm.
Like I didn't like that animation style, and I felt like it's harder when characters speak and their mouths don't quite like match. It feels more obvious in that sort of like 3D format. I don't know why. I can't
Hmm.
explain it, but to me, like when there was like some like off timing, I felt like I could really, really see it. And I
Hmm.
think that's a risk with
Yeah.
3D animation.
Yeah, Matt in chat says he thinks people liked Animatrix, and yeah, I mean, I certainly did, and I think it
Hmm.
went over well. Um, but yeah, I mean, they mentioned by the creator of Cowboy Bebop. Now, I don't know if they mean Shinichiro Watanabe, but if it is by him, that gives me like some more confidence.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
that's not always a guarantee either. I started Carol and Tuesday on Netflix, which is his,
Okay. Yeah.
and I wasn't really pulling me in, so
Hmm.
it's not a guarantee. But
Right.
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
But I mean, animation can be done right, and that's kind of in our next topic with
absolutely.
Castlevania. So this is the next half of the show is spoilerific for
Yes.
Castlevania, and then we'll get into Westworld. So I won't even say we put up the spoiler banner well, I mean you could, I guess. I don't
Maybe just for a
whatever.
couple minutes,
Yeah,
just
but
in case somebody
it's
stepped away.
right. It's gonna be spoiler heavy. So
Yes. Yep.
I do apologize, but we want to get in some good discussions on the new season of Castlevania and such. So
And there's a lot to discuss. I mean,
yes.
a
So I mean,
lot
do you want to
happened.
start? I'm
A
very
little
excited about this
happened.
topic. I just
I am
finished it
too.
last night. So
Nice. Yeah, I
um
mean, I binge watched it Thursday night.
nice.
Um,
Well,
I realized I was
first
actually farther behind than I thought I was, so I was only on like
mm,
episode 2 and
okay.
then was like just straight shot it all the entire night. Didn't go to
So
bed till midnight.
before we get to season 3, what are
Yeah.
your thoughts on season 1 and 2? Like just in general, how did you like season 1 and 2?
Mhm.
What was stronger? Um
Sure. I ooh, I really liked season 2. Season 1 was just so short. I think it was a good thing though. I feel like it's actually been a great thing. Like normally I don't love when like TV shows have like short seasons and then they like progressively get longer because sometimes I think that can like detract from the quality. But I actually really liked it because it felt like they were doing this really great intro into the world in season 1 and
mhm.
like, setting everything up, getting all the characters like I'm super super pumped about it. Um and it like made me pumped to like get into the universe and then get into season 2. So
Sure.
I like the way that they set that up. But I like season 2 better because I felt like now I'm really in it. Like
Okay.
that season 1 was my intro and now I'm just like in this world and I'm invested and like I feel like I get backstories for all of these characters. And the only thing that I maybe didn't love was the first part of the season felt a little slow, and then so much of the action happened in
Okay.
like the last 2 episodes, which
Sure.
I feel like also was happening with this season
Okay.
without giving anything away right away.
Okay.
How about you?
Yeah, I mean season 1 I always wanted to watch that like turned way up and on the big screen
Mhm.
all the episodes at once because to me it's such a well contained nice ride, and we'll get into the cast more later, but Dracula is so good and his moments
Yes.
of anger are so
Yes.
great. And so I love season 1. It's like, and it's like proof of concept, they're like, can we get more money to make more of this?
Yeah.
So when they went to season 2, um ultimately I liked it, but wasn't as tight and clean
Mhm.
to me. So they had some sort of particularly between Isaac, one of the Forge Masters,
Mhm.
and Dracula, some heavier conversations that I think didn't necessarily land. Um,
Okay.
they like. there's a lot of talking without enough being explicitly said. You
Sure.
know, I know they're sort of
A lot
like
of
struggling
illusion.
with, yeah. Mhm. But I liked the introduction of making this world bigger, and
Yeah.
they did set that up well with having all these other vampires, and it really is seeing that Dracula is the king of the vampires. So
Mhm.
he has other vampires to deal with, and
Right.
so I enjoy season two, um, but I think ultimately I liked season one for its like
Okay.
just clean precision.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, I like that season 1 was very direct and to the point. Like it was, here's our like very clear story arc and here's like our resolution. Um but I mean, I feel like season 2 is so great seeing like the dynamics between the characters, like real complex relationships. And that's
Hmm.
usually what I'm watching for in a world.
Yep.
So,
Well, I think that's what season three then excelled at.
yes.
You know,
I agree.
so if you want to have some thoughts on season three, because um I was really impressed. I was very impressed.
Yes. Yes. Like I said, I felt like the first part of the season was really kind of slow. Like I know that they needed to like set up everybody and what they were doing, like that Alucard is feeling alone and isolated at Dracula's castle. And then Trevor and Sypha are going off and like having these like really great adventures. And now like there's a new mystery for them at a town and they're gonna stop somewhere. Um, but and then Isaac's on his journey to find Hector. Hector's on his like forced journey by Carmilla. But it all felt like too much setup. Like I needed a little bit more advancement in the early episodes, um, for things then to get to where they needed to be in the final two episodes.
Right. Okay.
But that being said, like I liked some elements of the early setups because I feel like there were some side characters that really affected people's journeys
Hmm.
and that they needed to be there. Like, so I'm going to start with Isaac. Isaac meeting the captain.
Hmm.
But that's still like about midway through. But like him
Hmm.
meeting the captain and meeting this like old man in the shop that he's in who gifts him with one of those distance mirrors.
Yep.
Like these people, like they needed to be there because Isaac had sort of lost all hope in humanity after Hector's betrayal of Dracula.
Okay. Yep.
So I get that they needed to be there to like give him some like things to think about, but like all of that just felt like too long. Like I needed Isaac to keep moving forward.
Okay. Okay.
Um and then some of it I felt like, so with Alucard meeting Sumi and Taka,
Hmm.
I felt like right from the beginning of meeting them, I was already like betrayal. Like this is happening.
you're you're leery.
Yes, I
Okay.
was. And I was right. But yeah,
You,
but I
you
I
were right.
definitely
Yes.
I definitely felt like I saw this like coming.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
so like they just, I know like they were sort of like supposed to be maybe an echo of Sypha, looking for the sleeper beneath the city who would help them
Hmm.
defeat Dracula. And then they were
Yep.
coming to like Alucard being like, oh, like we need help in
Hmm.
defeating the vampires and like, won't you help us? But I don't know, just something from like the very moment that they were up in there. I was just like, no, this isn't happening the same way.
I think it was part of their performance that led to that, and the way some looks they gave and stuff. I didn't
Mhm.
think that immediately. It kind of as it went on, like, oh, these guys seem a little suspicious or a little discontent or something.
Sure,
So it didn't. I guess I was optimistic for a while with that.
sure. Yeah, I mean, I was happy for Alucard for like a hot minute because it seemed like he finally, had some company and he was kind of going a little crazy. Although I do feel like living alone for just a couple months was a little soon to be going crazy.
Sure,
Um,
I think it's the
but
coping with having killed his father.
yeah, yeah. I feel
That's
like that
so
that
that on
should have been
top of
like
it.
alluded to more to just be like, I'm not just like lonely. I just had this huge thing happen where I killed my dad and now I'm suffering like post traumatic stress about it. Like
Hmm.
that I can understand. I was just like, I don't know why you're super lonely. Like a bunch of people live alone, it seems, around these places. So whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I mean, yeah, you'd think that maybe you be used to being alone, but he's coming
Mhm.
to, it's difficult because he's half vampire and half human. So
Right.
he can't um he can't just go make friends, you know.
Yeah, I
And
get that.
yeah, I liked the bit at the very end with him where he's basically curled up crying where his dad's body was torched and his like ring is there and stuff. And it's like
Mhm.
he's hurting. And it was
Yeah.
so sad. This season was so sad for him. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Yeah, he sort of had like the opposite journey of Isaac where, he Isaac had people who were making him believe in humanity again and believe in his own faith again.
Hmm.
And then Alucard had like sort of a similar experience to his father where
Hmm.
humanity betrayed him and he saw the worst side of humanity.
Yep.
And now that's like shaken his faith and belief in like the goodness of people. So it's very,
Yep.
very different, separate journeys. But I
Yep.
think I think those contrasted really well with each other.
Hmm.
Um, and I think those parallels were well done.
Hmm. Yeah, I
So,
was
unlike some
continuing.
other parallels, I wasn't quite so happy with. But
Okay. Like what?
okay, so so I'm gonna speed ahead to like the last couple of episodes because just for a minute, I think we can go back and talk about other new characters that were introduced in the season that I really enjoyed.
Hmm.
Um, but just for like a minute. The last two episodes to me felt like everything was like coming to a head, but they felt very much like the final phases of a video game.
Okay.
Um, like the music like would always like crescendo. They were having this like big huge battle in the priory, and like the way that it was shot was very like Trevor and Sypha are like battling the final boss right now,
Hmm. Hmm.
which I loved. That was very like classic video game to me and like sort of a fun nod to like the show's roots. But then they would like temper that, like victory through battle with like these weird, super explicit sex scenes of betrayal for other characters. And I was just like, I'm not feeling this juxtaposition right here.
Hmm.
Like, I know what you're doing, and I know that like all of these like plot points are like coming to a crescendo,
Hmm.
but I felt like those sex scenes were just like too much. And
Hmm.
it took me out of like being in this cartoon, this animated world, and then like took me into like I've seen this done in real movies, and it's just so much more effective because animated anatomy just doesn't look like real
Sure.
3D human anatomy. And I just like, I don't know why you want to focus on like that sort of thing because it takes you out when I feel like you see that sort of thing and you're like, it's not the same.
I was I guess I appreciate it because I've liked this show that they don't pull any punches. And to
Hmm.
me, nothing is felt particularly forced. Sometimes things, I know Game of Thrones has gotten flack for it before, like putting in a sex scene to have a sex scene or being over the top to be over the top. And I never really felt it in that either,
Hmm.
personally. So I was initially on its face when you have two sex scenes happening and then two battle scenes. I mean, it's you think, okay, well, you have two good things going on contrasted with two awful things going on, and maybe that's kind of strange for a person to have that go back and forth, even though people do that too. But when you realize that all of four things are bad things happening, they're
Yep.
essentially four battles. And it is everything coming to a head. It's kind of like, I mean, you get that with Game of Thrones. It's usually the penultimate episode
Hmm.
is that's where everything goes. That's where everything wraps up, and it makes things really exciting. They could have moved like maybe the sex scenes earlier or something and been less explicit or whatever. But if they do that, now they need to not explore those storylines anymore for the rest of the season. because as soon as you go back to that, well, now you need to start the next phase of their journey.
Right.
So, if Hector, he gets trapped and whatever, and he does that 4 episodes past before the end, we
Mhm.
can't see Hector again, you know,
Totally. Yeah, no,
because
I have no problem with, like, the actual timing. I thought all of that, like, essentially worked well. It was literally just, like, so obviously in this season, like, there's no more allusion to Trevor and Sypha sleeping together. They're just sleeping
yep.
together. Like, we know
Mhm.
that now. And I just feel like that, but the way that they don't, like, actually show them sleeping together is, like, a more effective, like, more real sense of, like, these characters are together than this, like, super, super graphic, like, let me show, like, animated moving body parts and, like, let me zoom in on certain things. Like,
Mhm.
some of that just to me was just like, I'm not feeling like the effectiveness of this. So yeah, so
Sure.
I totally agree about, like, the timing of this. I think it worked in juxtaposition to the battles. It was literally just like I felt like they should have been, the sex scene should have been shot more suggestively. I thought they were trying to get, like, too close to, like, actual, like, human live action sex, and I was
Sure.
just like, it's not working for me.
Sure. Yeah, um definitely a lot happens in those last couple episodes. It
Mm.
is but you were saying before how you thought the beginning was a little slow.
Mhm.
And I was actually, cuz in season 2, I was not overly interested in a lot of the stories
Mhm.
other than um, you know, Alucard and Trevor and Saifa
Mhm.
and everything else. So the Forge Masters and Dracula stuff and the other vampires didn't interest me as much. And so I was surprised when this one started. I felt invested in every storyline. And there
Yes.
were the like 4 different storylines going on the whole time. And I was never upset to go to one of them. And so
Yes.
I was really impressed with that I cared about each character or situation. And so it made me like really feel that the whole season was worthwhile. And then having the big craziness at the end or whatever was to me a good payoff.
Mhm. Yeah, everybody's story was interesting. It just felt, I guess I'm maybe focusing a bit too much, I think, on Isaac, because
Mm,
his storyline to me was a little, like, disjointy. I thought it was interesting. And I thought it was interesting to learn more about him and sort of, like, his struggles, but I just didn't feel like maybe he had quite enough of a point by the
mhm.
end of the season.
For
Like,
me,
he was going to, like, find Hector and, like,
mhm,
revenge and, but then it was just like, okay, now I'm, like, side battling, like, this guy who's, like, king of the zombie green crowned people, and
mhm.
then what? Like, what
To
was that
me,
gonna do?
I mean, so Hector's trapped in a jail cell.
Right?
Um, Sypha and Trevor find this town to deal
Mhm.
with the crazy monks, and then you've got um, Isaac there. That to me is the one that can play with the most.
Mhm.
Because so um, his ultimate goal is, like you say, to find Hector, but we don't know how he's going to get from point A to point B, and so his journey there can be all kinds of things. And so
Mhm.
it's ultimately is about you know what does he become as a person, and how does
Mhm.
he resolve himself by the time he gets to Hector. So we'll
Sure.
have those beats, those moments, whatever those experiences are, to see how he's shaped.
Sure.
And I was the town with all the Jesus Christ zombies um, was out of left field. But to me, that's the thing. Anything he encounters can be out of left field because
Sure.
he's just journeying, and they're not going to pull a Game of Thrones where blink and I'm across the
Yeah.
continent. You
Yeah, no,
know,
I appreciate that for sure. Like, he shouldn't just be like, "I'm sailing on a boat. Now I'm here to Hector." Like, it's so great. But I maybe wanted his storyline to tie in, like, a little bit more with the others, like be somewhat relational at the end. Like, great, he just like battled the Jesus Christ zombie people, but like where is he? Like what is he doing?
Hmm.
Like is he close to Hector? Like, is he, meeting somebody who's going to take him to Carmilla? Like, I don't know. It felt like it ended a little like not tied in, and I wanted like maybe like a cliffhanger for him. Like a
Okay.
setup of something that shows like okay, he's like moving forward and like gonna maybe go on the next part of his journey to find Hector.
So yeah, the way I saw it in my head, anyways, was that he was on his path, and this town was in his way, and this
Sure.
is happened to be the craziness that was going on there,
Mhm.
and he can take the opportunity, I would assume, to convert that entire city into his knight army. Because
Right.
once all those people are freed and dead, because he told
Right.
then his people, go kill them all, but don't eat
Right.
them. I would think he'd go around and start turning everybody. And now he's got, so this town is his excuse to like wipe them all out and turn them
Right.
all into demons.
Right.
And
Well,
he'll
and
leave here really powerful.
he's certainly going to have an easier time of it out of the two Forge Masters. Like Isaac's ability seems pretty much immediate, where like Hector has to literally actually forge, like, or that's what we've seen in previous seasons. Like he's on a table, like actually forging, and like
Mhm.
Isaac is just like stab done, like
Yeah.
immediate in midair turning.
Yeah.
So
I'll be interested to see what happens there. I guess Hector is I think protagonist of a later video game.
okay.
And so it'd be interesting because Hector's such a sad, pathetic character at this point. Like he's so naive. He's incredibly naive. He
Yeah.
was in season 1 and 2, and well, I don't know if we saw him in season 1, but since we've known him, he has, and he hasn't.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
so it'll
I
be
mean,
interesting to see.
again, a betrayal, I was definitely like, I'm seeing this coming. Like
Yeah.
from the second that
Mhm.
they were about to have sex, I was like, oh dude,
Yep.
she is definitely gonna do something here. Like, I don't know why I don't see it, but cool.
I just keep thinking how Isaac wouldn't be in this position because
Definitely.
even if he were captured, he would reclaim he would reclaim some a position of authority because
Mm-hmm.
he'd understand that they do need him. He can assess demands, you
Yep.
know, and that he can plot his escape later. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's not going to, you know, stoop down to the level of just like, I'll do what you say, whatever you want, it just Hector's pathetic. He's really
Yeah.
pathetic.
He really just can't catch a break here. But I mean, he's clearly also not as capable as Isaac, like you said. I mean, we've seen Isaac um oh, good. Spoilers are still up. We've seen Isaac kill Godbrand, so we know he can kill a vampire. And like Hector, the only times he's tried has like failed super miserably.
Mhm.
So,
So to me, like this can be an opportunity. So if he got there, and if I imagine if this was me, you start making some demands. All right, I need clothes. I'm gonna
mhm,
get my own little place here or whatever. You're gonna show me
right,
some freaking respect, and I'm gonna make you some monsters. And they're going to, look, and they can question whether you're gonna have them turn against you or whatever. But
right.
there'll be that back and forth. Like, well, you could kill me anytime, and I could kill you anytime. So it's kind of a balance.
Hmm.
And during that process, you then plan your escape or whatever you want there. And
Right.
you get better at your craft. So you'd be practicing your craft. You'll probably learn a few things from some vampires,
Hmm.
like uh, wrong path, wrong decisions everywhere. So I'll be interested to see what his character arc is.
Yeah, I'm interested to see with those like rings that Lenore had forged for the vampire
Hmm.
sisters to like make Hector, now loyal to all of them. If Hector meets that particular individual and then finds some way out of like the bond of the ring
Yep.
that way. Like saying
So
it's, for the night creatures or something, and then like, you know, studying that and being like, oh, it's, loyalty for the night creatures, but then somehow like figures out a way to break that.
well, I was thinking that maybe they're kind of cocky with, well, if you try to have them harm us, you'll be in incredible pain. But
Hmm.
will it be the other way around?
Right.
Like if they go and smack him in the face, are they going to
Right.
feel,
Is it
so it might
reciprocal?
be a,
Yeah.
yeah, double-edged sword here. And
Yep.
again, putting them on an even playing field, you
Right.
know, it's one of those things like particularly before this, at the end they said, "Oh, the real people are talking, you hush or
Yeah.
whatever." And it's one of those things before the ring, if you got into that negotiation area before you got that bond, then you could have been like, no, actually, you're gonna
Right.
show me some respect here. I'm gonna sit at this table with you or whatever, and then
Right.
have some pull.
Yeah,
So
I find it I wrote this, I find it quite ironic, especially and I think it's very pointedly done, that at the end Lenore makes Hector kneel down, and she reaches down and like the camera angle is from Hector's face and she's like, "My little pet."
yeah. Hmm.
Just like Hector with his little pets. So now he like is getting like a firsthand view of what it's like to be somebody's little pet.
Hmm. Yep.
So I think it's very interesting that this is now his journey.
Well, so we're up against an hour, but I think that
Sure.
we should, to do this service, we should uh, go a little more and finish this. I think we're gonna have
Yeah,
to uh, shelve Westworlds to give it its due
sure.
to
Well, I
another
mean,
time.
yes, first episode of the new season is tomorrow, so we'll clearly have lots to say for that
Yeah.
next week.
Hmm. But I wanted to talk a little, like you got listed some
Mhm.
new characters that are
Yeah.
important, and just calling out some of the amazing voice casts that they managed to get for this
Yes.
show.
I was so excited about this. Yeah,
I mean,
it
like,
took me like no time at all to like recognize these voices.
I know. So at first I thought, is that Bill Nye? That
I
sounds like Bill
know.
Nye. And then it was. So that's amazing. Yeah, Saint Germain. So there's a character. Um, Not spoilers off, Alan. Definitely not spoilers off. Uh, it's still spoilerific. But Saint Germain,
Mhm.
so one thing I saw IGN point out that I thought was amazing is if you look at Saint Germain's character right
Mhm.
next to the magician, the old man magician, they look very similar.
Sure, sure.
And the so in the games, I guess Saint Germain is based off a character loosely that can time travel,
Oh,
and
okay.
we don't know explicitly that he can time travel, but he is dimension traveling.
Mhm.
Um, in this. And so the idea is maybe he has, and he also mentions mortals, all those mortals or whatever, and
Yep.
like so he can live a long time. Maybe he gets really old and mad from jumping between different universes or whatever, and he is the magician.
Ooh, I like
And
that.
then the other thing is that we thought of then talking about it last night was
Sure.
the old woman that was left at the village, left
Yeah.
behind.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the woman that he was going after and has now been
Oh,
traveling with. But now
sure.
he's gone mad and she doesn't want any part of it. And so that's why he would have left her alive out of
Sure.
anyone else there.
Sure. Ooh, I like that.
It's, I mean, I don't know, but it's trippy and it would be
Yes, that could
exciting
be
if that's
super interesting. And I mean, she's not exactly totally sane either.
right.
Which would make
Hmm.
sense, I think, for somebody if that was her, somebody who spent clearly quite a while. We don't know how much time in the Infinite Corridor. I mean,
Yeah.
they never really quite get to like how long she's been there, but I mean, and
Yep.
who knows if like in the Infinite Corridor time moves differently.
Right.
Um, so yeah, so that is an interesting theory.
They did a shot by shot of Saint Germain and
Sure.
the magician, and they even call out towards the end. Trevor says he is a magician, and
Right.
then and then the other guy, I think he's credited as the magician. Um, it's I don't know. That's cool. That's
Interesting.
really cool to me. So
Yeah, no, I like it. That's a cool theory. We'll have to see, where that plays out, if it
yeah,
plays out in season 4.
but yeah, did you have any thoughts on Saint Germain and his
I thought
character?
yeah, I thought he was, like, a fun character. He was a good ally, obviously, for Trevor and Sypha. They clearly needed some extra help, um, in dealing, like, with all of the events that were happening in Lindenfold. Um, and he was a fun ally, I think, that was kind of, like, helping them along the journey, but also, like, providing some comic relief, investigating what was happening, like, at the Priory. places that they clearly couldn't get to. So he
Yep.
was a great addition, I think.
Mhm.
And his storyline, finding the infinite corridor, obviously like dovetails really neatly with a lot of the theories that are flying out there now that is Dracula coming back because we
Mhm.
saw him in the infinite corridor. So
Yep.
his was like a fun like side journey that became part of like the essential story.
Do you want Dracula to come back?
I do and I don't. I don't want him to come back without his wife.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want just Dracula
Mhm.
back. Like, I think
So
that wouldn't really serve any narrative purpose.
mhm.
Um, but should he come back with Lisa, that could be very interesting.
Okay.
Like, maybe she's changed a bunch.
Well, in the games, he comes back every 100 years. Like,
Okay.
you just can't. So, what I would like to, at this point, see from this series is that with probably one more season, could
Mhm.
go a couple episodes longer,
Sure.
they or 2 seasons and shorter, whatever,
Mhm.
they conclude the path they have set, the clear, like, I mean, the threat that they had, that the 4 sisters are conspiring, and, like, that whole, like, it's gonna have to be them versus Isaac and his army,
Yep.
and, the ramifications of that, and clearly, I'm sure Sypha and Trevor and probably pulling Alucard will get involved, that to me is a good clear direction
Mhm.
without adding a whole bunch of filler and
Right.
whatever. Then I'd like to see him stop,
Okay.
like, wrap it up and have that. And then if they want to later do more Castlevania, it will be 100 years later. Dracula's back. It's
Sure.
now the spawn, the children, grandchildren of Trevor and Sypha
Right.
dealing with Dracula coming back, and again, Alucard. So
Sure.
that would be my hope. So they don't just like try dragging this on forever. Oh, bring
Right.
back Dracula, and that gets like redundant, and you have like a Death Star situation or something within the series.
Yeah, yeah, I don't feel like Dracula needs to be brought back. I think
Hmm.
if that's like their goal, like I said, I just want him to be brought back with his wife because I don't want like some random like Dracula's back. Like, what are we gonna do with him? Obviously, be I would assume like part of his coming back would be like revenge on Carmilla. But who knows? I don't know. I just feel like Alucard's already broken enough. Like, do we really need his dad coming back and like all of the sacrifice that he made and all of like the hurt that he's gone through would then just feel like nothing, I think.
Right.
So
Hmm.
yeah.
So I didn't put it in the show notes, but
Okay.
I had been mentioned about the showrunner um, wanting to incorporate Devil May Cry series.
Oh,
So he says it will join Castlevania in what we're now calling the bootleg multiverse.
okay.
Um, so this I'm worried about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, so far they've been, to me, pretty, like, they've really honored Castlevania well,
Yeah.
as far as I can tell. And like throwing in Devil May Cry
Mm-hmm.
could be cool, but man, it could be not cool too.
Yeah. Could
So,
be unnecessary complications.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he inquired the rights so that the the jabronis in Hollywood don't F this one up too.
Okay.
So that's his quote.
All right.
Um,
Using a little of the my favorite person, the Rock's language there. Jabroni.
so I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
My point is, I love this season. I
Yeah.
loved it. I love the action sequences at the end. It's maybe my favorite animated action sequence
Mhm.
ever in any
Yeah.
animated form.
Wow, okay.
Um, I know, I'd
Inkling.
have to think
I
about it
loved it.
more. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Sypha and Trevor fight so well together, and
Mhm.
like they do a great job with that. So, but I'm
Yeah,
worried for the future.
I agree. On the fight itself, I had totally actually forgotten about Trevor's original whip. And
Mhm.
so when you brought that out, I was like, "That's right, this is gonna be
Yeah.
so cool." So, like, it's fun that, like, you can still get surprised, you know?
Yeah.
Or, like,
Mhm.
something can come back because 'cause you've forgotten it so completely, and it was just like, "Oh, he does have another level, like, this is gonna be
Mhm.
so badass."
See, and
So that
that's
was part of the
where
fun of the fight, for sure.
he has another level. He's a DBZ character now. He's gonna power up.
Right?
Um,
Well, like I
is
said, it felt so much like a video game, like, final boss scenario, like, I was just like, "I feel
Mhm.
like I should have a controller, and I should be, in this right
Sure.
now." It was so great.
The uh it's yeah, that's I forgot what I was gonna say now.
Oh, sorry.
No, 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 no. I'm just too excited.
Sure.
Um I think though that's what it was. So it shows you the pros and cons of animation.
Mhm.
Like, so as you were mentioning, for you, the more graphic sex stuff pulled you out of like believing this because uh what was her name? The one Japanese girl, Sana?
Sumi,
Sumi. So, you know, her boobs are not that big until she took her shirt off.
right?
So, I mean, so that's a difficult situation for animation to deal with
Mhm,
because if you want to have the story you want told and the way you want it told, like I always hated in movies when two people sleep together and then someone gets up and they, particularly the woman, covers themselves with the whole sheet and
mhm.
walks away.
Yeah,
Whoever does that
yeah,
ever? No
yeah.
one does that. It's stupid. So it's like, really? I mean, we have to hide that. So in animated form, I don't think any of this was overtly a poor choice,
Mhm.
but it is definitely a difficult thing for animation to convey as effectively
Yes,
as live action when it's going to be graphic.
yes.
Whereas on the other hand, action can benefit greatly
Mhm.
from the animation. In real life, you could never have Trevor Belmont with two whips that is seemingly whatever length he wants,
Yes.
just like all. But it's amazing in animation because
Absolutely.
it's, your mind's using to play it out and fill it in. It's a level of intensity and excitement that would get
Yes,
ridiculous on in live action, but
totally.
is spectacular animated. And so
Right. And
it
I
is that.
never yeah, I never felt like I was out of it or, like, any of that, like, I mean, sometimes your brain just, like, is like, "Okay, well, his whip's a different length now, and that's fine," but it doesn't, like, take you out. It's
Mhm.
just it all works and it all meshes in that
Yep.
animated format.
And it works better too for like people against crazy odds. So, for
Mhm.
instance, Trevor is a human against these giant
Right.
demons. Now, Saev is a human too, but she has quite the lineup of powers. Whereas when you have a live action and you have, you know, a human woman that's like 95 pounds and she's fighting some beast, you're like, that's not happening. And it almost takes me out of it then, like
Right.
the, out of the realism. So both things have the pros and cons of their format.
Right.
And to your point, maybe they could have been more aware of the con of sensuality in anime or in animation and how difficult that is.
Yeah, because like, I didn't have trouble with, like, them drawing nude bodies, like, when Hector was nude in his cage or whatever, and he, like, moves around and, like, we see all of Hector. It wasn't anything that, like, took away from it. It was like, yeah, that's anatomically correct and that's fine. I would expect that if he were naked, like, that's what's
Sure,
there. But yeah, when you like zoom in and try to get like super close and like, do these like incredibly detailed shots, some of it just gets lost because it
sure.
just can't be as detailed. So
You just gotta watch it over and over and over again until you're just like desensitized to it, and it's just like, "What are you talking about? This is on everything. It's the way it is."
All right. Before, I don't know if we're maybe running long on time here, but the other new character I wanted to quick get to was Jason Isaacs, the judge.
Yeah. Yep.
And the second, so he was like a really great character that sort of got a little I don't know. He had a little surprise at the end that wasn't quite natural. I felt like it was just
Oh,
an odd.
see, I didn't see that specifically coming, but
Right, same.
something. So
Same. So the second that I knew it was Jason Isaacs, I was like, why is Jason Isaacs playing a good character? Like he just is. He's just evil. And for some reason, like I couldn't figure it out. And he like was, but he was again was a really great ally. Like helped Trevor and Sypha. And then when the bishop runs out of the priory and stabs him, and the judge dies, I was still sort of like, this is very satisfying because it's always satisfying when Jason Isaacs dies because he's such a
Aw,
bad character all the time.
aw,
So why am I satisfied at his death? And then, like, it all made sense when like Trevor and Sypha go into his house and like find out he's been like murdering little children. And I was like,
yep.
oh, cool. This is why I'm satisfied because he was a bad guy.
Did
Like,
you see it though when he sent the child off to get the apple?
no,
Like right then, I'm like, that kid's dead. That kid is dead. Because
yeah,
he has this thing where he was mad at this kid. I've told you to stop running. How many times have I told you to stop running in town? Kind of thing. And then
right,
literally he tells the kid to go get an apple and he runs.
right.
So clearly not. So he's like, all right, another one off. Check,
Right.
another one down.
Yeah, there were
So
clues, I think, because he was so like, these are my people and this is
yeah.
my town. And he was like
Hmm.
weirdly controlling. So you were like, something is weird here. And I
Hmm.
didn't know if it was going to be like he was secretly like working with the bishop or, like something else. Like he was clearly crazy authoritarian. Um, but yeah, no, I knew there was going to be something. I just didn't know what it was,
Hmm.
but I was surprised for sure.
I mean, that's one thing this show did so well. I mean, a lot of animated shows take it for granted is the truth of a character, I
Mhm.
think. Like he's a gray character. I mean, obviously he's terrible, but he's also like really managing this town and genuinely doesn't want these other people to destroy his town. He
Right.
feels bad when he like, oh, we did this operation when I told everybody, knew everybody to be in their houses and then they all got burned.
No. Oh my god, that part shocked the crap out of me. It was
Yeah.
so well done. I did not see
Yeah.
it coming. That was
So
so
he's
great.
he's a developed gray character,
Yes,
and the two Taka and Sumi then they as well are like bad, but you can understand, they've known vampires to be awful and they made their lives a living hell.
right.
And now they leave and they've traveled across the continent and they've gotten not what they were looking for necessarily.
Mhm.
And everybody along the way has been jerks to them, I guess.
Yeah,
So they don't trust anyone. Oh, and I mean, pick the wrong person to mess around with. But
right.
again, their motivations were understood.
Yeah, I think, once we learned their backstory, I was just really ready for, like, the betrayal for Alucard
Hmm.
because, like, that was the moment it was clear to me that they weren't like Sypha, because Sypha had only had good experiences, like, in her life, sort of surrounding
Yeah.
her family, and she didn't necessarily know that the sleeper under the city was going to be a vampire, but when she
Right.
met Alucard, she was still like, "I can give you a chance because, I've had good things in my life and I haven't been betrayed by people."
Yep.
So her approach was completely different where like Taka and Sumi had these like horrible, horrible demonstrations of vampire kind to
Hmm.
like fill up all of their background. And then it was just like, well, yeah, like Alucard's
Yep.
half vampire, so we gotta get him.
Yep.
So
Okay.
all
Anything
right.
else big that you haven't talked about on this show?
I don't think so. I think I said everything I feel like I wanted to say. There was so much to talk about. I mean,
Yeah.
it was such a good season. Like I barely noticed as I was binge watching it. It just like flew by.
Yep. Yeah. I would just take the last second to really rave about it. How I
Yeah,
was really impressed
absolutely watch it.
with the yeah. And I mean, if you're interested, go to IMDb and check out the cast list.
Mhm.
They got it's just I said it again, but it's an amazing cast list
It
for throughout
is.
the seasons. It's pretty impressive. And I should have looked at who's doing the animation. The normal animation is I feel fine, but
Mhm.
when they get into action sequences, it's got a kind of frenetic style that I enjoy, and
Yeah,
they
I
do
agree.
good job with that. Looking forward to more.
Yes, yes,
So
definitely be a Castlevania season 4. Um,
yes,
I kind of wonder if it'll get pushed up since it's one of Netflix's, like, animated series,
maybe
now that, like, a bunch of live action stuff is gonna be halted.
could be.
Who knows?
Yeah, everybody's working from home, drawing.
Mhm.
Yeah, the um I guess I will say I'm gonna try to play a couple Castlevania games
Sure, yeah.
because I haven't played much in years. So
Same.
get a couple in. Okay, we were going to talk. We met earlier this week and we are like, oh, this will be a good horror show.
Yeah,
No, so we were going to talk about Westworld, our because
right,
season as you mentioned, season three premieres tomorrow, Sunday the
yes.
15th on HBO. Everybody go watch it. But Westworld 1 and 2 have a lot of things to talk about and is a
Absolutely.
complicated, intense story. So we're gonna get our thoughts on that. We'll have to do that next week
Yep,
or come back with an in-between episode or something like that.
for
But
sure.
maybe we can like fill an episode with just that and then and our thoughts on the new season starter.
Yeah, I don't think we'll have any trouble filling an episode with our thoughts.
Yeah. We should just like skip the news, like just go past the news because that takes up too much time. But
Sure.
uh,
Well, we'll see if
okay,
there is any news next week.
yeah,
It'd be pretty quiet.
mm, more, yeah. We'll just say more things, more of everything is canceled.
Yeah.
End of story. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Well, thanks for joining me again, Andrea.
Yes, great discussion. Go see
Yes.
Castlevania is the point.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And have a good weekend.
All right. Cheers, everybody.